This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask with your host, Dr. Judith Briles. On the show today, you'll find out where book publishing is going and how to take advantage of it. How to identify and avoid publishing predators. What opportunities are emerging as the book trade evolves in new forms. How to avoid losing money and much, much more. Join us now as a variety of publishing pros will deliver insights and strategies to take the author to the next level of publishing. It's your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. Brought to you by AuthorU and the Book Shepherd. And now, here's your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
Well, hello, everyone, and happy Publishing and Writing Month. We have just come out of the NaNoWrite month. So those of you who are fiction authors, I hope you got that first draft done, those 50,000 words. And if you just got halfway through, it's okay. It's a great start. With me today is one of my favorite authors who I've had the pleasure of working with on multiple books, because what you've started was the authoring journey. And I thought this would be a great time to really recap what goes on in the authoring journey. What's the ups, the downs, the woes, the oh my gods, to I'd rather be mopping the floor type thing response, to really becoming a successful author. With me is Lisa Rienicke. She's the author of 5 multi-award-winning children's books that include the Mom's Choice Awards, the Reader's Favorite Awards, the Purple Dragonfly Award, and the Book Excellence Awards. Her most recent memoir received the Book Excellence Award in its category. And in addition, she is a prolific writer, creating over 25 stories for television, as well as appearing on the local TV shows here in the Denver area. Her passion is working with children and charities to improve community relationships through writing. So we're going to be deep diving. We're going to talk about some of her books. I'll give you some of the titles. Arnold, the Cute Little Pig with Personality, David's Crisp Wish, Wings and Feet, Bart's Escape Out the Gate, brand new, hot off the press, Wilhelmina's Wish, and then really more of a memoir about her dad, Football Flyboy. So, Lisa, welcome to AuthorU, your guide to book publishing.
Hey, hi, Judith. Thanks for having me.
I'm glad you're here to play with me today.
Me too.
You know, those of you who listen regularly know that I routinely have an intern. And in the analysis, you know, as I was doing the final checkout with my last intern, Laura, I said, what's the number one thing that you've really grasped while you've been here for the last 4 months? And she said, it's all about marketing. It doesn't matter how good your book is. If you don't market it, no one will ever know. That was her huge takeaway. You know, I wish all authors can get it like my 20-year-old kiddo. Pick that up so quickly. Yeah. So, all right. So let's we've got almost an hour together. Let's talk about some of the process. And I guess I want to ask you, what brought you? Let's talk about you first, Lisa. What brought you to writing?
Oh my goodness. Well, I have a drawer full of it that I've done since I was probably 13 years old. So I had a whole drawer of things. And then it really came to fruition when I had my own children, and I realized, wow, there's just so much I want to communicate with them and so much I want them to learn. And without books and without reading, none of that's ever going to be told in the stories. Stories that I want to tell and people need to hear. It's our history. It's entertainment. It's everything.
Books. I actually posted something up on my one of my Facebook pages last month, and it really dealt with that. That when you read, that's where extraordinary comes in. And so you as an author, myself as an author, all our listeners as authors, really do add to the extraordinary factor DNA of people. And I don't think we really realize the the power of our words and what we bring with that writing that you started when you were 13.
Mm-hmm. You can't live life if you don't read.
I don't think so. But Lisa, I have to tell you, I am always stunned and amazed and then appalled when I hear people say they don't read books. And I just, I want to go, what? How can you not read books? So, but they're out there, a lot of them. Right.
No.
Good. So you started with writing stories, and your first book was Arnold, I think. Is that correct?
It was, and I had no clue what I was doing.
Yeah. Welcome to the club for many of our listeners.
I tell you, when we put that thing together, it originally started as a little book that we all contributed to, the whole family, as a family project. And it just kind of grew from there about Arnold, our real little pig that we had and that we all loved. And that silly book outsells almost every book. And did you know I forgot to even put my name on the cover?
and you know what? I never knew Arnold was a memoir. A biography.
It's Arnold's memoir.
It's Arnold's memoir. There you go. Well, I think that it's the cover. We can talk about how important covers are, but Arnold has got, those of you who see Arnold, the cute little pig with personality, which you can get on Amazon, by the way, you've got this wonderful, delightful pig's face. A cute little pig on the cover.
Yes. And he was really on TV too. We used to take him on TV when I did the TV shows, and I would go on and tell my stories and things like that. I would take him on TV with me when he was little. So he was a beloved little guy. So I'm glad he got his memoir. The other thing that was so funny about that book is people would tell me, oh, I love the way these words are, that the kids can really read them. They're separate from the text. I'm going, well, I really didn't mean to do that, but great.
And so when you say the words are separate, describe that for our listeners.
So it's kind of an early reader, and I didn't realize what we were doing at the time. But a lot of time when you send your book to layout, they'll combine the words inside the pictures, so it's pretty. Well, we didn't know better with Arnold, and so we had the pictures inside a picture frame, and then we put the words down at the bottom and on just plain white, dark words on plain white paper. Well, it turns out that was great for kids who were learning just to read in kindergarten and first grade, because they don't get, the words are very clear and it's just black and white.
And it just pops right out.
It does. And the teachers ended up loving that it was down there. I didn't mean to do it, but it turned out good. And
Go ahead.
But Arnold, it still surprises me that when people come up and they start looking at all the books, when they tell me what age they have, and Arnold is just great for these 2-year-olds to 5-year-olds. The 4 and 5s are starting to recognize words, and the little 2-year-olds love singing the little oink songs of Arnold. So it's still, I have sold, I am now at my 2,000 books for Arnold. I just hit that mark.
Yes, and for all of you who are listening, you think, well, is 2,000 books a lot? Well, in the self-publishing market, dear listener, 100 is the norm. And what we want to work with our authors to get way, 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 way past the norm. So Arnold has paid his way, we can say.
He has, yes.
Right. So tell us about David's Christmas Wish. I mean, we've got the holiday season, coming on like a train right now. What makes David's Christmas Wish unique?
David's Christmas Wish, well, first of all, I want to talk about what I learned in the process of Arnold is that you need professionals. And when I got to doing David's Christmas Wish, I realized, okay, I have some shortcomings here. Did Arnold stand up with the greats of The Giving Tree and all these other books, and The Mitten and these great Christmas books? And no, it didn't. So I hired professionals to help me with that. So I found a professional illustrator to design and lay out the book, and for the pictures and the covers. What's different about David's Christmas wish, though, is Santa doesn't come in to save the day. The Grinch doesn't steal Christmas. It is about the parents' love and the reminder at Christmas of how much your parents love you, no matter how old you are. So this is a book with 1 to 99 years old. It's about David just wants a fish for Christmas, and the parents get ready to give it to him the night before, and the fish is floating. So they have to go through a blizzard and storm and all kinds of things to get this little bitty goldfish for David, because it's all he wants. He doesn't want any toys. He doesn't have this big Christmas wish. It's about simple things and a parent's love, and that's who saves. I think that's an important lesson at Christmas, rather than Santa loves you and going to bring a lot of gifts. Well, parents are going to love you, and they love you forever.
And I think that one of the beauties of your books, I think, and we're talking children's books here, but I think that we all, as those of us who write for the adult market, need to embrace and cherish the word simplicity. That I think sometimes people get things too complicated, and I've always, and people think I'm nutso when I say this, but if you have to drive me to the dictionary to figure out what this word is that you meant, I think you flunked. I want to learn, I want to be entertained, or whatever it is I want to do. But at least, and I'm not, I've got a doctorate, but I don't want you to use words. Remember how the average person reads is at that 6th grade level, and I think we need to keep in mind. All right, we're going to take a quick break. With us is Lisa Rienicke, and we're talking about the author's journey, and right now we're kissing her fabulous books.
Is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these.
Is there a book in you or another? AuthorU shows you how to create, develop, and publish your book without being hoodwinked. If you already have a book out, you will find a supportive and brainstorming community that is connected and creative, no matter where you live. AuthorU brings in national experts for its book camps and annual AuthorU extravaganza. It has regular meetings and delivers webinars for its members on timely topics. Through AuthorU's extensive network, members enjoy exclusive benefits, including significant discounts for a variety of services necessary to publishing. AuthorU is the premier authoring resource in the country, creating community, education, guidance, vision, and success for the serious author. If you want to create a book that has pizzazz, punch, and panache, AuthorU is for you. Timely author and publishing tips and articles are posted on its social media platforms, and it is free. Discover AuthorU, where authors go to become seriously successful. Join AuthorU today at AuthorU.org.
First impressions are everything in the world of book publishing. Whether your book is an ebook, a print version, or both, your book cover needs to pop, sizzle, and sparkle to immediately capture the attention of your audience. And your book's interior needs to be just as dynamic and reflect the professionalism your readers demand. Nick Sellinger of NZ Graphics has won numerous national and international book awards for his cover designs and interior layouts. With over 20 years of experience in graphic design, he knows what it takes to create award-winning books and the many promotional pieces that authors need, such as posters, banners, postcards, one-sheets, business cards, logos, and more. Visit ncgraphics.com and see what authors and publishers have to say about their award-winning books and how NZ Graphics can make your book the success it was meant to be. That's nzgraphics.com.
Are you confused about publishing options? Do you know which printing option is best for your book? Does your stomach flip when you think about selling books? Or do you feel overwhelmed with what to do about book marketing and publicity? Get the answers and much more. Get them and from someone who knows publishing inside and out from both the traditional and independent sides, how to make a successful book. You can't do it alone without paying the price. You can spend your money creating a book that turns out to be so-so, or you can create a book that looks and feels classy, builds your brand and platform, and is a success, a bestseller. It is your choice. You choose. If you want author and publishing success, you want Judith Briles as your book coach. Sign up for her weekly blogs and e-zine at thebookshepherd.com.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
All right, we're up and off the air. Lisa and I were talking about where she's heading this weekend, and we will, and it really is going to tie in about the next book we're talking about in her journey, which is called Wings and Feet, which just won the Reader's Choice Award Gold Medal Award, and she is heading to Florida for national recognition. So that's very exciting. So Lisa, tell us about Wings and Feet.
Okay, well, first of all, it's readers. The award was Reader's Favorite Award. Mm-hmm. It has run the readers. It's won Book Excellent Award. It's won 6 awards. But how this silly book came to be is I had my little grandson, who was then 5, following me around the house, telling me about this butterfly that was his friend, and pulling on my shirt, saying, "Mimi, you've just got to write a story about this. You've got to write a story about my friend's butterfly." And I tried to write a story about him and his butterfly and get a name for the butterfly. And Buddy the butterfly was already taken. And I worked on this for, a couple of months in trying to get the story down, and it just didn't come to me. And then one night I was laying in bed and just had drifted off to sleep, and the story of Wings and Feet came to me. And the boy and the butterfly don't have a name, so we didn't name them. But it's about our relationships and our differences. One has wings and one has feet. And since then, I can tell you, the butterfly and the boy get those differences out right up front in the story. And since then, I have seen my 3 little grandbabies, boys, talk to people who are in wheelchairs, who have prosthetic legs, who look different than them. And the story has really resonated with them, and that, just because they're different doesn't mean you can't be together. You can't do some things. You're going to do it differently, but you can be friends.
Always good. Always good. Well, that's a big kudo for you to head off. Now, you're on book number 3. So book number 1, which has really outsold everything. And, here's the message to everyone. And what you don't know yet about Lisa is she is a marketing maven. She has no fear. She goes down any path, and she's not afraid to ask for the book sale, which is always important in these areas.
Judith, you taught me that. You taught me to always be marketing. So, that's where it comes to finding professionals. That's one of my statements is you need to find a professional, and finding you has taught me a lot about the marketing. And a lot of times it's just as simple as telling people about your book. Would you like to buy that?
Mm-hmm. And who wouldn't? And who wouldn't want to buy all of them? We've got 5 books. Let's get them all. Just add to them. All right, so marketing is what it's about. But Arnold, you said you made mistakes that turned out, the mistake that wouldn't be a traditional layout turned out to be the big bonus because it was so readable for little ones who are just starting on the journey to reading, and they could recognize the word. There wasn't anything that was conflicting with them except for they saw the word. That's a huge aha in early reader books for all you authors listening in. That's a huge lesson to take away here, by the way. All right, so then from David's Christmas Wish, what kind of takeaway did you have with book number 2?
That it's only for Christmas, and I can only expect it.
Yeah.
But that's important, is to realize that, okay, this is a Christmas book. I'm only going to sell this on Christmas. And so when you're writing it, and you want to write this story, I think it's important to remember, okay, this isn't going to be my money. This isn't going to be my huge money maker because this is a Christmas book.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me ask you this. When you, like we just did an event together and you sold a lot of books, and that you signed a lot of books, did people want you to put the names in the books, or they just want you to sign them, or did it matter?
I think they most all people want it personalized. So when they're buying it for a gift, they do want it personalized, and they do want that note in there that, you know, kind of means something. So I always, you taught me this too, is to always pre-sign my books, and then all I have to do is add the name.
It makes it easy. So here's the third thing I want you to take away, because we're into the holiday season, and I know you have a lot of events set up, is I would go down and pick one of the colors from David's. I think, it could be the goldfish color in it, that goldy yellow color. Mm-hmm. I would go to like a Hobby Lobby or a Michael's or see what sales are on, and I would get ribbon, gauzy type ribbon, and then I would tie it corner to corner and bring it around to bow, and I would have them all pre-cut, knowing how much long you need them, so that when people bought them, after you put the child's name it's going to, that I would say, and then last, let me wrap it for you. And you don't need
that's a great idea.
Just ribbon. And you always, for those of you who are listening in, my strategy has always been with any book to have pre-cut ribbon that picks up an accent color from your cover. I mean, you spend all this time and energy creating the cover of your dream, that don't bury it in paper. Just put a pretty ribbon on it. And I like to use gauzy because it has a little bit of pop, I think, to it. And I've used all kinds of different widths, but it really does gussy it up, and people like that. So that's my suggestion for gifting of books throughout the year, not just the holidays, throughout the year.
That's a great idea.
So that's the next thing to do. All right. So that was so you have what's called a seasonal but evergreen book, Lisa.
Yes, it won't die. Yeah, that's true. It's not going to die.
Yeah, there always will be Christmas. All right, then our big book, our Wings and Feet.
Wings and Feet is about our differences. So the boy and the butterfly become friends, and they get that out right up front that we're different. Mm-hmm. But as the book progresses, it's about the things they can do. I'm going to fly over the creek as you run with the blades of grass tickling your feet. So it goes through the motions, but it also goes into the boy tries to put the butterfly in a jar and says, I'm just going to keep you in my room at night so we can be friends, and you'll be safe in the jar at night while I sleep. And the butterfly says, no, that will hurt me. And I think it's important. We are always encouraging our kids to be friends with somebody different than themselves. However, it's not the same. So if something is going to harm you, you need to speak up, and you need to not do it. So that's in there. And then also at the end, it's about what we'd miss if we hadn't have been friends, and what the generations to come are even going to be affected if we weren't friends. And it's a forever friendship that we have with butterflies. It kind of goes into all that. It has a lot of meaning that is deep meaning into it, but it's still a fun story for kids. And it's beyond your 500 words, so it's a little older read.
Okay, so it's not the 2 to 5 year old. It's not the 2 to 5 year old.
No.
We're looking
No.
from a mature 5 to up to 8 years old. Would you say?
To 8, and we also have curriculum for that. So we went to the Colorado Board of Educators, and we went to one of the teachers with the masters, and I said, I want some curriculum to go with this, because there were so many things in that book. It's got poetry, it's got a lot of symbolism and stuff, and so she wrote curriculum that goes K through 5th grade, and I know that sounds like old, but a lot of the schools are using it as poetry in the older years.
Right. And poetry is a good thing, you know?
Yeah.
I think poetry is always a good thing. All right. So, and then let's jump in, because I want to come through all your books so we can do them all. And then I want to take a peek at what you have 5 big lessons that you've learned along the way. And actually, you've kissed on a couple of them. But what I'd like to do is to just kind of go through and let's talk about the books. Because I think this is kind of a common thing I'm going to do every once in a while, maybe once a quarter. Just one of the authors who's really gotten it, who's getting it, and who understands that this author success really is one step at a time. And I think that what happens is people, all of us, have a little bit maybe of an impatient streak, and we want to get it all at once. And that's where we get into a little trouble.
It didn't come all at once, and I am impatient. And you know that about me.
I do.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. Okay. So the next one is, go ahead.
So we're going to move on to Bart?
Yeah, Bart is one of my favorite ones. So for all of you, Bart's Escape Out the Gate. And if you've ever had a pet dog, you will totally connect with Bart's. So talk about Bart.
Well, Bart is a big old dinosaur. And, you know, Judith, I'm going to stop for just a second. I don't know how much time we have, but I found out that all my books have all my insecurities in them.
Okay, you know what? Okay, so we're going to hold on that, because I just realized we're up to the next break. So insecurity is normal for authors. We'll be right back.
I know.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these.
Discover the power of you and your book at the Judith Briles Unplugged events. Each summer, Judith Briles Book Marketing Unplugged unfolds over 3 intensive days working with just Judith. You get publishing strategies, author and book platforms, book marketing panache and pizzazz, and authoring tools to take you and your book to rock star success. In the fall and winter, Judith Briles Speaking Unplugged includes Judith as your coach and mentor during 2 powerful days. You will learn how to structure a speech, how to create openings and closings, how to find gigs that pay you and sell your books, and you will get one-on-one coaching. Go to thebookshepherd.com and click on the events tab to learn how to participate at the next Unplugged workshop event.
When Ned Thompson and Harry Shore started Thompson Shore in 1972, they believed employees with great character would make up the best company. They were right. They hired people who were not only experts in bookmaking, but who were obsessed with quality and delivering exceptional customer service. Almost 40 years later, Thompson Shore remains a 100% employee-owned company. Ned and Harry knew that successful customer projects are a direct result of empowered employees. We specialize in all books for large and small publishers. Creating beautiful and well-made books, we're dedicated to pleasing our customers by making the experience a good one from start to finish. The personal touch we have with our customers allows us to be innovative in solving their most difficult challenges. Our platform also ensures that we can remain flexible to meet our customers' unique needs and expectations. Our marketing kit can create buzz for your title, enhancing the promotion of your book during infancy. When you need to test the market to gauge your future sales, we can provide digitally printed books that will transition seamlessly into a larger offset run. From ebook to hard copy to delivery, our skillful customer service teams are at the ready to answer your most pressing question. At Thompson Shore, we know that making the highest quality books requires more than just best technologies. It requires superior customer service, professionalism to the trade, and commitment to environmental and social values. With these standards of excellence in place, you can be sure that we will always help you put your best book forward.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. Coming up, you'll hear more about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
With me is Lisa Rienicke today, and she is not a publishing professional per se, as is what I usually have, from marketing tips to publicity tips to fill-in-the-blank tips. What we're doing is talking about author tips from the author perspective. Lisa's written many, many, many books. They have won multiple awards. In fact, as you listen to this, she has just collected her latest and greatest, a gold medal from the Reader's Favorite Awards for one of her books that we have been talking about. And those are big kudos, and those don't happen overnight. And I think one of the things that we're talking about is she tells you the evolution of her writing. And then we're going to come in and get into, before we close out, the steps in the journey and lessons learned, which will apply to all of you. Is that it didn't happen overnight. The awards didn't happen overnight. It came along the way, along with the mistakes, along with the hiccups, along with the joys, along with the sorrows, and along with thinking, I think I can work at Chick-fil-A and make more money right now. But Lisa has persevered, and that's really where patience and that perseverance is where the success factor comes in huge. Don't you think, Lisa?
Yes, I don't like to fail.
And she doesn't like to fail. Yeah, got it.
No.
And for all of you, Lisa does have a day job too. I mean, this is, she doesn't write full time, but she has really, well, you probably put as much time in a full-time job as you do with your books, I suspect, Lisa.
Yes, I do. I put as much time. I probably put at least 40 hours in a week on books and marketing, because my weekends are marketing, my weeknights are writing. I get up in the middle of the night and I write, and so I spend at least 40 hours.
Yeah. Okay. And see, that's like me. I have two jobs too. All right. So with that said, is Book Shepherd, and then I guess I got to do writing. I do writing for other people and getting my own marketing. Yeah. But we are on Bart's Escape. And you started talking about some of the surprises that Bart has.
Bart has my ADHD, okay? I didn't realize it, but I gave it to him when I wrote the story. And Bart gets out, the boy makes a big mistake. And again, we don't know the boy's name, but he makes a big mistake and he leaves the gate open. And Bart gets out and Bart tears up the neighbor's lawns, he tears up their flowers. And the boy is just, he's just trying his best to get this dinosaur in, and the dinosaur's just out having fun. Bart is having so much fun. He says, let's play hide and seek. And so Bart takes off. Well, he can't find him. So the boy has to use a lot of leadership skills to finally get Bart to follow the wagon of treats and get him put back in the gate. But the story doesn't end there. The child has to make up for what his pet tore up. So he's got to replant flowers and seed the grass, and the neighbors, he has to ask for forgiveness for his mistake that he made. And, it ends up with a good story, and he learned a lesson he'll never forget, to close the gate and take care of his pet. And he has to clean up a big pile of poop, too.
Oh yes, I love the picture of the big pile of poop. I mean, dinosaurs, everyone can really do naughty things here. So we have that. And then we have the latest to your kids' offerings. Book number 5 is it's just hot off the press.
I just got some samples for the printed ones. Now, I ordered some already, some print on demand, so I'd have something to sell. But I just got some, they were nice enough, the printers were nice enough to send me about 20 copies for a proof. So without the word proof on them, so I can sell those. Oh, but you love her. Oh, you just want to, this little Wilhelmina, you just want to, she's somebody that you love. I mean, she is a character that you just can't help but want to squeeze. Wilhelmina has one wish. She wished she didn't look like this. So she's going to be okay. She has a unibrow. And everybody told me, Lisa, you can't do that. Well, I did it anyway. And it ends up okay. And Wilhelmina comes to love herself when she finds out that, her beauty comes from within and not without. And so Wilhelmina has one wish, and then she changed it.
And she did.
So,
and wait, I didn't tell you not to do Wilhelmina. I love the idea.
No, everybody that I talked about that I was going to do the unibrow, everybody goes, Lisa, you can't do that. Lisa, you can't do
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't help it. This book came from one line, and that was the unibrow. I had to write about a unibrow. And so, because it was important to me, and I talked to Sophia, she's the unibrow model, and I can't say her last name, before I did the book. And as I was doing the book, I conferred with her, because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't, going to offend anybody as we did this, but her message is to all the women and the little girls out there is to love who you are and see the beauty from within. And that's her message. So when as I conferred with her, as we went through the process, she said, I just love it. She said, it's really what we're trying to tell. It's really what we're trying to tell these children is to love themselves for who they are.
Mm-hmm. And also, I think it's important for all of us to recognize we all have flaws. All of us have of some sort. Some are very physical and obvious, and some aren't. But we've all got flaws. So.
And I have people tell me, well, why can't you make it so she waxes it? That's not the point of the thing, is to get rid of the flaw that you think that you have, but to actually begin to embrace what you have.
Mm-hmm. And that's the beauty. All right. And then last but not least, we're going to step away from children's and we're going to the adult version. But you did a wonderful, I think, story. Okay. I always think of it as a travel log of, and although your father wasn't driving all over the country or the world or flying everywhere, but it's really a travel log through what he did as a young pilot and then coming home and building a very successful company.
Yes, and we get to see him change. So we get to see him. It's kind of like the story This Is Us, if anybody watches it on TV, is that we get to see the moment in time where he's 19 years old and writing these letters. And we get to see his insecurities and also his prejudice that he has. And then we get to go back into, in every other chapter, so we get to go back into his childhood, get to know those 4 feminist sisters that he had and his feminist mother that made him who he was at that 19-year-old boy. And then we get to go forward and see how his prejudice and his predetermined ideas changed and how the war changed those ideas too, and how he grew into a really good man.
Mm-hmm. And raised a great family and daughter. So how's that?
Yeah, we would really think it's something that his pictures on there, on that.
Yeah.
And, it's kind of a love story, too, because we get to see his relationship with my mom for 65 years. So you get to see a love story, and at the end, you get to see how it's going to end, too. You know what's coming, but you don't want it to.
Mm-hmm. Well, and also I'm going to say for everyone, since I got to have my fingers in this book, that this is based on the letters that he wrote home. When he was flying at the end of the war. So and I loved the fact that he never could spell your mother's name right. And one of the things Lisa really made a conscious decision, and we've had a little pushback from some people, but we chose not to edit his letters or change his spellings or do anything. They are his letters as he wrote them. And then what I loved is Lisa really made in commentary of them as she set up what was going on, and her as her looking back, or the input with the family and those kind of things. Then she's got a crazy aunt who writes all this poetry. So they're really delightful. But Lisa, what I want you to do is tell, before we go to this last, we're very close to our final segment here, and then we're going to do a recap of all the things you need to do. We have 5 steps for you, but tell what's happening with the recognition of your dad on the new ship.
Oh, yes. Because of all the wonderful letters, Mercy Ships, which is a floating hospital, they do a lot of charity work. In Africa, it's overseas. They park the ships on the ports, and then they go into the villages and do surgeries actually on the ship, and it's a big hospital. Well, the new one that they're building, the new post office, is going to be named Buster's after Dad. So that's really exciting that, the letters are going to tie in with their post office.
That really is. And how that all came about, I'm not quite sure, but I do remember the excitement as you told me. I mean, it's quite an honor to have that come down. And when will the ship launch?
The ship launches in February.
How cool is that? I thought it was launching. I thought it was going to launch this last month, but it didn't.
It's going to be finished in January, and so that will be when we do the dedication to the. I think it's right at the same time that your cruise, I believe, is when they're going to dedicate it, and then the boat actually goes out of dry dock in February.
Oh, that's terrific. All right. With us is Lisa Rienicke. We've been talking about her amazing books as well as the journey. And when we come back on AuthorU-Your Guide to Book Publishing, we're going to talk about steps in the journey and how they apply to you.
Is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these.
The book shepherding concept is simple. The publishing world is changing, and so must you. You need an experienced shepherd and guide to collaborate with you as you create, strategize, develop, publish, and achieve your publishing goals. Publishing is riddled with obstacles, sometimes nightmares for the author. You do not need more problems. You want solutions. Dr. Judith Briles will shepherd you through the maze and chaos. At times, she has had to step in and rescue a book that has been sabotaged by a publisher, by a publishing service provider, and sometimes even by the author. If you want author and book success, connect with her today at thebookshepherd.com.
At Total Printing Systems, customer service is our priority. We are located in Southern Illinois. Our employees have an average of 18 years experience and know that customer relationships are important to our continued success. We have been a short-run book printer for nearly 40 years and always stay at the forefront of technology. Our niche is from 1 to 5,000 copies. Today, we offer digital, black and white, and 4-color high-speed inkjet printing, a cost-effective way to introduce color into your short-run titles. We, of course, offer traditional offset printing as well. Bindery is done in-house, from adhesive case binding to PUR perfect binding to mechanical binding of all types, including side sewing. We provide warehousing, kitting, distribution, inventory management, a new print-on-demand facility, streaming browser-based ebooks, and bookstore. Call us at 1-800-465-5200 for a quote on your next book project. You can also visit our website at www.tps1.com.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
All righty, with me is Lisa Rienicke, multi award-winning author, specializing in children's book and, walking away with Mom's Choice Awards, Reader's Favorites Award, Book Excellence Awards, and the gold medal with Reader's Favorite, which I think is The Cat's Meow. But she's really told you a little bit about her different books and as they evolved. And we really went through the chronological birthing of them, not giving you the years or any of that. But there was a chronological birthing, and they're also, each one of them composed a major step in her journey toward author success. So I wanted to take our last segment to just really go through them on your guide to book publishing. What Lisa will say is that the very first step is that there's a process. So Lisa, why don't you jump on that and talk about that?
Yes. So I didn't realize that the process of writing a book, I thought I just get my words down and I send it off to somebody, I get somebody to illustrate it, and then we print it. Well, there really is a process of, the editing process, even in a children's book, of having several people read it, the beta readers, to tell you what doesn't make sense and what makes sense, even in a children's book. There's so many things that go into this that it really does take about a year to get through the writing process, the editing, formatting, beta readers, and the layout, and then on to print is your very last step. And also, at that very last step, I learned another lesson in Football Flyboy, and there's, after it comes back from layout, is to put the cold eye to it to make sure that it didn't get messed up in layout.
Which can happen. It can happen.
Yes.
Especially lines that are just too tight, from lines that get dropped, or even when you're reading, you think, what was I thinking? Why did I say
right?
It? And I need to fix it. Here's something else I think that's really important to bring about in the process. That, because you mentioned illustrators, Lisa, how imperative, yes. And you mentioned beta readers, is that people who actually, a beta reader is someone who actually is a buyer of your book. It's not your mom, by the way. It's someone that is your kind of buyer. And I think with children's books in particular, it's imperative that the illustrations and that layout of the book really match the storyline and the words within the book. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. When we got this back, Bart, for example, we got back from layout, and there's a strange man in the flower pot that I didn't catch. So when it went to layout, somehow that little man that was in another scene ended up in a flower pot on another page. And had I not had a beta reader, I looked through the book and I thought, oh, this is great. It looks just so good. But if I hadn't had that beta reader that goes, what is that guy doing in the flower pot? We would have never known it. It would have gone to print.
And those kind of things. And the other thing I think it's really important with illustrations, and we'll go to step 2, is that it's imperative that the type of illustrations that you use really will resonate with the age level of the reader. And you as an adult may love them, but it doesn't match a 5-year-old. So it's really important to get that.
No.
All right.
You know, there's one lady that I'm reading her book, and it's a gorgeous book. I mean, the illustrations are wonderful, but the age group that she has targeted, the illustrations don't match to it. It's too sophisticated for the age group that she's trying to sell to.
Yep. And I'm sitting with one right now that the author finally recognized it. And so now we have to get a new illustrator in. And number 2, you need professionals.
Yeah. Right. Yes. Okay. Well, that brought us right to that thing. Is it seems everybody wants to write a children's book. Everybody that I run into. And what I learned from Arnold is that anybody can write a children's book, but will that book stand up with the great? So you need to get professionals involved, a professional illustrator. You are somebody that can give you an honest feedback and is not afraid to step on your toes and say, this isn't working here. That's not working there. So going beyond your family is saying, oh, that's such a great story because I know Arnold. You need to go find a professional that will really give you the honest truth.
And boy, isn't the honest truth critical? Number three is you say that you spent money going for the ride. Want to elaborate on that?
Oh, boy. How many webinars did I go to before I figured out that the first 10 minutes I'm going to get a couple of little hints and the rest of it's going to be a sales pitch? Mm-hmm. There's always these emails coming in that they're going to promise me a way to make big sales. Give me the funnel, a way to make my big money on my books fast. And you need to accept it. You have to work full-time in marketing with people you can trust, not just for people that promise you everything, but find that one person that you can depend on and pay them. Skip all the other lines and find that person who will spend the time with you. You're going to pay for it. Judith, you and I have talked about that. Yes, I've hired you for a monthly fee on the projects that we've worked on, but I expect to pay for it. If I'm not paying for your services, then you're not worth it. So skip the people who you're going to spend $150 on this webinar, $150 on that webinar, and find the person that you can work with that is really going to give you some meat and potatoes. But pay them.
Yeah, and actually, Lisa and I have talked about, and that I wish they'd just tell me up front, there's going to be an offer, this is what it's going to cost, this is what Macy's going to do, and I'm going to take this webinar and share it with you, and go through and unravel what this is all about. I'd much rather have it open, and I actually did a webinar that almost went 2 hours, that was totally information with no pitches for sales. I love that. I love doing that.
Well, that I know, but that you're very generous with your time. But also, when I sit down with you are very generous, by the way, in giving things that you don't expect anything out of. But when you and I sit down to work on a project, I expect to pay you. When my layout person does my layout, I pay them right away because they spent time on my project. And they did things for me to make it into a professional product. And if you're going to go through this process, expect to pay a professional.
Yep, I totally agree with you. All right, number 4, trust those with talent.
Yep, writing picture books. I have 500 words. I tell people this all the time. 500 words to develop a character. 500 words to set my scene. That's not a lot of words to get your message, get your story out, and everything else. So I trusted my illustrator, and I didn't give my illustrator a whole lot of direction. I let them come at me first with the creation and then tweak it from there, because oftentimes they are talented at what they do. And if you give them a little bit of head and a little bit of reins, they can come back with something better than you could have told them to do.
I know it, and it's always fun when I talk with you because when you share the illustrations, because we both are gleeful when the surprises rolled out. When the surprises.
Oh gosh! I mean, Wilhelmina has a pet caterpillar instead of a dog. I mean, I couldn't have told her to do that.
No, who would have thought? All right, number 5. You talk about love on people. Don't just sell a book. That's a really interesting concept, Lisa.
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit ahead of time, and I hated book signings because I feel like I have to sell a book. I'm at this book selling. If I don't sell a book, if I don't sell 5 books, I just sat here and I wasted my time. And I would worry and wring my hands about that. And the CRM at the Barnes & Noble loved her. And she said, I have something that'll really help you with book signings. And she gave me the book by P.A. Reisner. How do you say his name? Ritzer?
Peter
Ritzer?
Ritzer.
But it was just a very small book. But what it said was, don't be concerned about selling your book. Just love on people.
Yep.
And if you really feel, if you go into a signing with that on your heart, or with that at any book sale, if you're just going to love on people and talk to them about your book, and you're going to listen to them a little bit about their story, pretty soon they're going to fall in love with you. They're going to buy your book, not because they love your book, but because they love you. And the feeling, because you shared a piece of yourself with them.
Yep, exactly. All right. In our last 90 seconds, number 6.
Keep her moving.
Keep her moving. All right. You get to expand on that for a few seconds.
Okay. That's a Wisconsin thing. Keep her moving. Keep up the work of improving your craft. Steadfast in your marketing. Never stop marketing. Engage with others. And most of all, help your fellow authors. They are your best customers.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. One time I wrote a blog on givers and takers, and I really asked, are you a giver or a taker? And because, you know a lot of the stuff I do, I do a lot of freebie stuff for authors. And I freely, once a month, you get 3 hours, you can come pick my brain, I'll have coffee ready, any question is a go. And you'll get an answer to it. And that I'm always amazed, because I love it when people share back, but there's always a few who just show up and all they do is they take and they never give back to the group. And those are the people that I just hope go away. I hope they go away because you've got to give. You've got to give to get more. That's my philosophy.
Well, everybody's got to eat. So, it's good to give and it's good to help each other. But if you want me to dive in and do extra work for you, then you need to pay me. And I expect to do the same for somebody else.
Yep, exactly. Oh, and with that, this is Lisa Rienicke. I am certainly going to encourage you to look up her books. Go to her website, Lisa Rienicke, REINICKE.com, and really take advantage of the wonderful, wonderful treasure chest that she will offer to you and your kids, as well as learn. Lisa, thank you so much.
Thank you, Judith.
All right, we'll be right back next week. It's AuthorU, your guide to book publishing.
Thank you for being a part of Your Guide to Book Publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. Each week,